So basically, I'm realizing here how awkward the weapon wheel is. Like basically, if you want to put your upgrades into shock, you don't get. Let's say this was the Shadow Warbro where you get free. In this one, you only get shock and freeze. I think the Shadow one you get fire as well. Now, I've got fire in my Hunter bow, but I won't even talk about that right now. That's also annoying. Basically, if I put too much, if I put damage like I have done, damage and tear into this, I don't get any benefits from the fire. But if I put, but basically, anyway, I'll just keep it simpler for now. Let's just say I had the Shadow bow, so I had fire, ice, and shock in the one arrow. Well, I could put, there's free slots, so maybe I could put one into each element, yeah, but if I want to max each element, I'd probably want to put max into shock, but then I can't put it into fire. So one way round, so either every time you come into an encounter, you'd have to switch modifications, which takes a bit of time, so that's not a very elegant solution. Or you could get free of the same arrow, which is a bit annoying because not only does that take up the space from like your trip caster or rope caster and stuff like that, and also your general bows like these tear blast and hard points and stuff. So not only would that be taking up the weapon wheel space, if you got the same arrow 3 times, let's say these two was the shadow bow, so therefore I'd have 3 elements, shock, fire, and freeze. That would just look stupid. Not only would it take up the size of the weapon wheel, but it would look stupid. You'd have 3 fires, you'd have 3 ices, and you'd have 3 shocks. And the weapon wheel, what a waste of space, it just looks stupid. But what you could do in that scenario is you could max each weapon out per element. You could max each element per weapon even. So you could like have your, if this was shock or something, you could have that maxed out. If this was fire, if this was ice, you could have that maxed out. And this was fire, you could have that maxed out. But then you'd have to duplicate the weapons 3 times. Have to have 3 of those to actually make that work for you. To have all elemental powers within the one weapon wheel. So again, not very elegant. So I'm only realizing that after many hours of playing this game, I haven't really focused too much on what weapons I was using. I really just stuck to that arrow there, the hunter arrow. And then when I got the hard punch arrow, I started paying more attention to what kind of arrows there are. And I haven't really used this yet because it takes a bit too much to build. A lot of echo shells. But I've got that tear blast. I've got tear upgrades in this anyway, so that's cool. That's actually more powerful than the base tear of that anyway for now. But the thing is, though, it's not very elegant. Like just the amount, you don't have a lot of space to hold on the weapon wheel. And I know that I saw something the other day about the sequel having a better weapon wheel, so hopefully. I'm only just noticing the mistakes of this tonight after like ages of playing it a few months ago. Haven't played it in about 10 weeks. So yeah, the weapon wheel's a bit. It's not very good having. I don't know what way to do it. I'm running out of time to record here, but I'm just thinking you'd have to. Maybe you could upgrade individual elements. Maybe you could have upgrades for the individual elements themselves. Like, each element would have an upgrade slot, modification slot, instead of the whole arrow having a modification slot. Because otherwise you'd just be switching arrows way too much. Or you'd have to put 3 arrows on the same weapon wheel, 3 of the same arrow, and that would look stupid having 3 fires, 3 ices, and 3 shocks. Plus there's like blast things as well, and maybe other abilities. So that would look stupid. So hopefully in the sequel they maybe modify it per element instead of modifying it per arrow. It just makes it awkward. Like, yeah, I think so. Man, I guess the games want to make it not too easy for you, but sometimes that makes it look stupid. Sometimes games restrict you too much. I think in this scenario, that's one of the cases. I don't know if they've done it on purpose to make it harder, to make it not too easy. But I think if you have to go into menus and keep swapping things in and out every time when you're trying to have a smooth battle, that doesn't feel very logical to me, or it just feels like a waste of time. So hopefully, maybe they didn't do it on purpose. Maybe they just couldn't think of what way to do it, and hopefully for the sequel they would have figured that out by now. Anyway, honestly, I never even noticed it until now, so I'm thinking modifications per element instead of per slot, per weapon. That's my solution at the top of my head there, but maybe there's a better solution. Anyway, over now. Damn you, Sony, for not giving me better options. Now I have to jump all the way up to 15 minutes. And I can't because I've somehow... This game... This console, how have I ran